Hello and welcome back to the Open Sorcery. Today we are going to be covering familiars and familiar spirits, and I have my wonderful guest Raven back with me, and I'm so excited.
Me too. Hello, everybody.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like you can tell probably already, there is crackhead energy just like abound. It's just
Yes,
everywhere
endless.
at just an abundance. Um, But familiars. What is a familiar? So, we hear the term all the time, and we probably think back to, the typical depiction of a witch and she has a black cat familiar and everything like that. That's not really what it is.
No, not
No.
at all.
No. So, in terms of what a familiar is, a familiar spirit, it's a entity that, I mean, sometimes they can take a physical form, or they've been known to take a physical form like a cat, but that thing is not a cat. That thing is
Yes,
not a
not at
pet.
all.
It is quite possibly a demon. It is quite
Hmm.
possibly like of like the fae. It is something other than animal.
Yes,
So, in terms of familiars, what is your take on them?
I think they are absolutely adorbs. I I love I love working with them. They
Mhm.
are great, but I will say that they can also be quite a not necessarily a burden, but essentially a way that you do carry a strong responsibility that you still have even after you pass.
Mhm.
Because that familiar is still greatly attached to your spirit. And in fact, a lot of the time, the familiar will then help you, um, you know, cross over peacefully. And then will at times, depending on what kind of pact you have with that familiar, they can then even go on to a descendant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it could be a familiar spirit as in it stays in the family. Which I'm sure, we've all heard of like house spirits and things like that, guardians of the home, and that I would believe would fall under that category in my opinion.
Yes,
Because they're
I
supposed to
agree.
sit there and they guard the bloodline and they guard the loved ones and all of that. But in terms of familiars, I have seen, well, a lot of people stating that they are just pets and not really understanding the full extent of what they are. So
Yes.
let's dismiss some myths. Just because a witch or practitioner or spiritualist has a pet, does that mean that it is a familiar?
No,
No. Um,
definitely not.
no. So having a pet is akin to like adopting a child. Like that is your responsibility. That is, you enjoy their company, but they're there for companionship. A familiar has a specific purpose. So it can be almost like a magical assistant on the other side where you're doing magic in terms of, say, kind of drawing prosperity to you or drawing like a specific type of energy to you. That spirit is going to go and help those energies flow to you more easily, kind of like opening up the dam and allowing the flow. But they
I
also
agree.
take hits for you. So think of it this
Yeah.
way. If your familiar is a guardian familiar, what's going to happen if somebody is trying to send negativity or something not so nice towards you? What's going to happen to that familiar?
They are going to be the ones that is going to take the hit because they would rather be them, especially when their spirit is not destroyed. They'll simply just go back to light or wherever they came from, but it's much harder for them to return.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, familiars are incredibly useful, and quite frankly, I do believe like they are spirits in their own right. They're not necessarily thought forms or egregores or anything like that, because they are a pre-existing spirit that you kind of make a pact or contract or something of that nature with. Um, but like they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders when they take on um, the familiar status with you. So in your experiences with familiars, like how have they assisted you, or how has your experience been?
My experience has been filled with a lot of heavy emotional experiences and situations, as well as very positive and very uplifting. Uh, the more painful ones would be like you said, whenever somebody is trying to do something negative to you, or send something bad to you, the familiar takes the hit. And there was a time where I was very new to familiar spirits. I found a spell on Google. I was definitely one of those beginners that was like, oh, go to Google. Let's find all of this and that,
I
without
mean, it
even really
works.
understanding anything.
It works, and you gain your experience and you get your hits and you keep rolling with it. No
Yep.
shame.
And and the spell essentially, I don't even remember the incantation for it, but essentially you had to write down on a piece of paper of like what you wanted your familiar to look like, and then you had to sleep with that piece of paper with the description underneath your pillow for I think like 4 to 5 nights.
Mhm.
Um, and it had to be like before a full moon, and then you open it up on a full moon and then bury it, something like that. It was like a long process.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that the familiar was actually created. I thought it did not work. And then I found out that it did, but I never directly communicated with it.
Mhm.
I just then realized later on that there was like this cat that was always around my neighborhood. And whenever I would go on a walk, whenever I would be outside, it would always be around all the time. And one thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I know for a fact when it's a familiar, when you look into their eyes, you
Mhm.
can always see some kind of, I feel like they are looking straight into your soul, and you're able to feel that, and you're able to look straight into theirs, like you know what kind of creature they are, and you know for a fact it is not the form that they are taking. They are something completely different
Oh
just
yeah.
by looking into their eyes. um and when I looked into that cat's eyes, I realized that it was actually my familiar. And I was like, wait, what? And then when a person was trying to send a lot of negativity towards me and tried to curse me, um, my familiar took the hit. And I
Oof.
felt so bad. I didn't even know I had this familiar for a while. So I felt even worse about it.
Mm.
So I think it's definitely something that you have to prepare yourself for before you really go into it. It's not something of, oh my God, a familiar. Like that sounds so cool, because that was my mindset. And then when that happened, it felt like so much more hurtful.
Mhm.
And I didn't see it happen, but I felt that it happened. And it was like a piece of me just was gone. And I've never really felt that with my regular pets dying. Of course, I was sad, but I've never felt as if I was just like a piece of me just broke off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they make that contract, or you make that pact with literally a piece of your soul, and that's
Hmm.
well, you know, I say soul, spirit, like you never really lose any part of it. It's just it's almost like a piece of your ego. I'll put it that way.
Yes.
That may be more accurate. Um but yes, you make that pact with a piece of it, and that's how one they thrive, and it's understandable because I mean, normal everyday connections that we make, they're going to be more surface level. This is on a level that is entirely so much deeper into the onion than a pet could ever go.
Yes.
Um, so the different uses for familiars. Yours seems like it was more for protection or just like a presence around, not really something that you interacted with in terms of like, oh hey, I need this, or can you help me in terms of this kind of functioning. Um,
Not my past one, no. My current one, yes.
mhm. So, like the difference between the past one and the current one, how would you say your process has changed?
This time I actually asked the assistance of my spiritual friend Jason,
Mm-hmm.
um, who died when he was my best friend, and then when he crossed over, now he's a guardian of mine. He assisted me, and I go into my inner world, which is a state of meditation, and you're able to enter within your consciousness. And I was able to summon a fae creature in my inner world. And then we were able to talk and we made a contract
Mm-hmm.
and a pact, which was very interesting because this fae, we didn't do it with blood or anything like that, but they used something that was fairy dust, but it was mixed with a couple of other ingredients. And it was just this kind of powder
Mm-hmm.
like substance that they just sprinkled all over me. And then they said that that was kind of like a seal
Yeah.
around around like my very spirit, because in the inner world you are in your spiritual form. So it was completely sealed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wow. So that was a very interesting experience. I did not personally pick it per se. I would say we chose each other at the same time because that fake creature came forward when I put out the request.
Mm-hmm. And
But
knowing
in the
you,
end, I still feel that
yeah.
it was more them choosing me. I really feel like I really did not have a lot of input. And I think that's just because the Fae, at least, they're very confident creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the type of, I already know you. I already know everything about you, even more that you don't know about yourself. And I was like, okay, I actually need that. So,
Hey, it works. And I know you are a highly intuitive and in tune individual, so you would be able to like suss out if something wasn't right or anything like that. I trust your
yes.
instincts, and especially for yourself. So I know people listening is like, oh my God, did she just get into a pact with something that possibly like wants to like eat her or something? It's like, nah, nah, she's got good instincts. Trust me. Her intuition would have just been like, wee wee wee. This is not
And
okay.
honestly, and honestly, in the inner world, that is one of the best things because when you go into that meditative state and you're within your consciousness, anything cannot enter without your permission.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was anything bad, I could have instantly kicked it out and been like, nope, goodbye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I will say I haven't made like a formal pact, but I do have spirits that have kind of been around me and presented themselves when the time was right. I think the pacts were made in previous lives, honestly. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they don't necessarily appear in terms of like a physical animal, but you
Hmm.
can feel them around. And like, I ain't gonna lie, I got a dragon. I got a dragon and I love her to death. I love her to death, and she eats things that try to get in my proximity. So I'm just like, I'm good.
It
But
is a fey creature that I have, but it is usually in the shape of a fox, of a white fox with like blue on the ears and on the tail, and then like blue flames for
do they
like
have a
feet.
black spot?
No.
No black spot. Okay. I don't know what I just saw then. Okay. I'll ask about it later. Okay. I find that the colorations that I get sometimes are a little off, so I don't know. It might have just been lighting. But with familiars, they take on a lot of tasks. Like you said previously, like your first one didn't so much um it wasn't so much something that you communicated with, but you felt it take the hit for you and it protected you. With
Yeah.
this one and your experiences and becoming more of a practiced spiritualist, would you say like it's not necessarily like go fetch me this or go fetch me that? Like how are they assisting you in terms of um, just living your life, really?
I would say that it's not so much assisting me in my life per se, but I would say that this new familiar, like I said, the Fae is very confident about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they can strut their stuff, and this Fae creature told me that they would be able to help me reach my maximum spiritual potential.
Mm-hmm.
So they are helping me more so with my spiritual senses, with my surroundings. So with everyday life, it's more so of I'm walking somewhere and they want me to close my eyes and see with my third eye and with my senses more
Mm-hmm.
to get more used to dulling out one or two senses and then strengthening the others to the point where even if I shut off all of my senses, I still know what's going on around me,
Mm-hmm. So
which I know
they're really
sounds
like stretching those
fancy,
extra sensory.
yes,
Oh
they
wow.
are very demanding. I'm telling.
It's a personal trainer. It's a psychic personal
Yes,
trainer. Oh
yes. And
no.
if I do not follow what they say, they will take something. They will take something of mine
Little
that
thieves.
hinders me from doing something. Whether it be they take my headphones, whether they take some of my money, or anything. They will take something or cause my laptop to, malfunction when I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to do stuff because my familiar's like, hello, excuse me, you haven't meditated today.
Oh shoot, it's a personal assistant like honestly from heaven but also from hell. Ah.
And because it's the Fae, they do great things, but they also have no problem being that person to stand in front of the TV
Oh
and
yeah.
be like, no,
Oh absolutely.
you need to go do this and that.
100%.
Even if I try to turn up the volume ladder on the TV, nope, it's not working.
It's just like, yes, mom, I'll get it done. Okay, I get it done. But God, but familiars, that is definitely going to be in terms of pacts. You are literally creating an agreement between yourself and whatever entity um
Yes.
there, which make sure that the agreements are beneficial to you. um there goes my like Capricorn moon. I'm just like, lawyer, contracts, let's do this. Like I will comb over this motherfucker so much. um but
Yes.
probably why I don't have any contracts that I've done in this life, because I'm just like, no, it's not enough benefits for me. um
Yeah. It's good to be that way though, especially with so many like entities out there that tries to get your trust,
mhm.
that vampire that tries to persuade you to let them in.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And quite frankly, I'm not here for it. I'm just like, yeah, no. Mm-mm. I keep my gods, I keep my guardians, I keep my my spirits that keep me good. But I have not made a contract as of yet.
Now
Cause
I know that if I ever need like if I ever get like called into the spiritual courts,
mm-hmm.
I will call you as my lawyer and be like, nope, I have this lawyer assigned.
Yes.
Very good with your contracts and everything. So
Oh
yeah,
yes.
even if like the council of angels are judging me, I'd be like, nope, I have a lawyer.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna be over there like I am justice. I am Batman. Like
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
oh my gosh.
Just walks in dressed as Batman.
I will. Just wait. Like,
Uh, you gotta be the spiritual Batman version, so like have some mandalas in some spots. Maybe like the evil eye instead of like the Batman mask. Just like a mask with the evil eye.
yes. Oh my god. Okay. We are so off track right now. Oh my god. No, you're fine. We needed it. It's great. But I think really that's all that we needed to cover in terms of familiar spirits because it's the process of gaining them is going to be different for everybody. Sure, you're going to be able to find like you said like those Google rituals of, finding a familiar, but you really need to be able to speak to them, get your terms and conditions under consideration and make sure that everything is of benefit to you because you're literally giving a piece of yourself in this lifetime to that being. So like just keep keep that in mind. It is not like, oh, this is cool, I'm gonna be like Sabrina the Teenage Witch with Salem, like, oh my god. It's not. These beings are powerful. These beings assist you so much in terms of like you said, expanding yourself like a personal trainer or, you know, assisting with even mundane types of things of the everyday life. Like they are powerful. And so
Yes.
I would say like think, about 100 times before you decide to go after one. Um, Definitely listen to your guides, like you were listening to Jason, and Jason was just like, "Hey, you need this." Um, but I will always urge caution. If your intuition is not in a place where you completely trust it, work on that first.
Yes.
100% work on that first. Like you said, we don't need vampires coming in and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to contract you to me and you're going to be lethargic for the rest of your life."
Yep.
That just sounds miserable. Um
Yes.
is there anything else in terms of familiars that you think we need to know?
Mm, not really. I don't really think so, but I will say that once you have one, treat it not always like a best friend because again, they like mine, personal trainer, sometimes annoying, but I made that pact and you also cannot just break a contract whenever you want. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's just another important thing to remember for a lot of people that you can't just rip apart a contract. It's that kind of situation of when once you put in a resignation letter, you can't take it back. Else your entire reputation will be ruined with that company and the spiritual world and the spiritual beings will also not be able to trust you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. You are only as good as your word, and if you're breaking contracts, then good luck. Good luck
Right?
having any magic work, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that kind of taps us out in terms of the topic. Um, this has been Devi with the Open Sorcery and the beautiful Raven.
Sparkles.
We will catch you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.